Oh boy. Donald Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the BBC is really backfiring. And it's backfiring because of something the BBC has done, which I really respect. The BBC is not settling with Trump. The BBC is defending itself. And they are saying, we want testimony, we want documents. It's called discovery. And they want it from Trump's family. And Trump is melting down. Suddenly, the very legal process that Donald Trump initiated, he now says is harassment. The BBC is trying to subpoena Donald Trump Jr. The BBC is trying to subpoena Ivanka and Jared Kushner, all to defend itself against Trump's claim of defamation. Now, remember, this is Trump's choice. If Trump had not decided to do this stupid, frivolous lawsuit against the BBC wouldn't be doing any of this stuff. But what BBC is now saying is, listen, we are being accused of defamation. And these three people, Don Jr., Ivanka, and Jared Kushner, we believe they possess relevant information. They were in the Oval Office when Trump was preparing his January 6th speech. And their testimony, therefore, would establish what Trump was thinking on that day, how he was conducting himself, what his intentions were about that speech. And that is relevant to the claim that BBC defamed Trump. Now, Trump's legal team said, this is all just to harass us. It's to harass our family. It's to harass our supporters by abusing the deposition process. But this is just called discovery. Trump sued them. He said, you owe me $10 billion, but a cartoonish amount of money, $10 billion, by the way. And he says, I was really harmed when the BBC talked about me on January 6th. I was harmed. You filed the lawsuit. You're making massive claims. So your story has to be scrutinized. It has to be challenged. And as a result, the party you are suing gets to do, it's just the law. They can seek evidence. They can request documents. They can question witnesses. Trump doesn't get to throw a $10 billion grenade, legal grenade, and then go, the explosion is disturbing my family, my kids. Now, there is important nuance here. We covered this when it first happened. The BBC has said, we acknowledge that on this show, Panorama, we spliced together different pieces of Trump's speech on January 6th. And that may have created the mistaken impression that they were a continuous statement from Trump, which directly called for violence. And they said it was an error in judgment. We've apologized. That was a legitimate error. Trump is allowed to challenge that. That's a completely legitimate thing for Trump to challenge. However, admitting that you made an editorial mistake doesn't entitle you to, having made an editorial mistake doesn't entitle the other party to $10 billion in damages. You have to prove all the elements of the claim. You have to establish that the damages are worthy of $10 billion. And the BBC is entitled to investigate all of those elements as well. So when Trump says, my statements were fundamentally misrepresented and they damaged me, you have to now prove that. And Ivanka, Don Jr., Jared, they have been difficult to serve subpoenas because they're protected by Secret Service. And so the BBC is now saying, you can't be immune from service of process just because you have bodyguards. So we need to do service by either email or certified mail. Now, a court is going to decide about that. This is all because Trump said, hey, I'm going to sue. And lawsuits are a tool that Trump uses along with threats and investigations to make things really expensive for his critics. And for media organizations that don't just fall in line and become the next Newsmax or OAN. Trump's preferred version of the legal system is I make an accusation, the target panics, and then they spend a bunch of money on lawyers and then write me a check. That's what Trump wants. And unfortunately, a lot of American media outlets have done that. They've effectively surrendered. We have a defendant here in the BBC that is saying we are not going to surrender. We are going to push to have Trump prove his allegations, and we're not going to use any special process. It's simply discovery. And now Trump all of a sudden is a victim, and his family is being persecuted, and the depositions are harassment, and the process is an abuse of power. Trump always wants the offensive power of the legal system, but he is not allowed to be scrutinized. He wants to demand documents without having to produce any. And he wants to question other people without others being able to question him. And he wants to drag other people's families into stuff without his family being dragged into stuff. And there's a really simple solution that's available here to Donald Trump. Just withdraw the lawsuit. That's it. This goes away. If Trump truly believes that defending against his claim is an unacceptable invasion of his family's privacy, he can say, all right, I'm not seeking $10 billion from the BBC anymore. What he can't do is start a lawsuit, demand an insane payout, and then say the other side isn't even able to examine witnesses or get full discovery. You open the door yourself. It's going to reach Ivanka. It's going to reach Don Jr. and Jared Kushner, and now he is furious. Now, in the background of all of this is the completely reasonable desire from Democrats, including Congresswoman Yasemin Ansari, that Barron Trump be questioned. This is separate from the BBC lawsuit. Barron Trump is an adult now, and he was involved in Donald Trump's media tour surrounding his 2024 election. He was involved in Trump's crypto grift. He's involved and he's an adult. And just you wait and see how triggered Trump is going to be if and when this thing finally hits Barron. It is going to be like nothing we have seen before. Now, on the bonus show today, Trump gear superstores that sell the hats and all that stuff, they're closing because nobody's buying that crap. And Marjorie Taylor Greene says, I don't see anyone wearing MAGA hats anymore. Mitch McConnell is hounded to face cameras, but he is refusing. And we will talk about tonight's primaries in Alaska, Florida, and many other places. All of that and more on today's bonus show. Don't miss the bonus show. Sign up at joinpakman.com. Shopping for a mattress is one of those things that most people put off. Once you finally decide we're going to do it, you just start guessing, which is why our sponsor, Helix Sleep, is such a great way to go. I've been sleeping on a Helix mattress for years at this point. You go to the Helix website, you take a short little sleep quiz, answer a few questions about your body. How do you sleep? What kind of feel do you like? What are you looking for? And they will match you with a model that is built around your preferences. And that's it. It just simplifies mattress shopping. The thing I most like about my Helix mattress is that the whole process was very straightforward. I just answered a few questions. They matched me with a mattress that is what I wanted. And I've had it for years. It's in perfect condition. I'm far from needing to replace it. Go to helixsleep.com/Pakman for 27% off site-wide, a discount they are only offering to my audience. The link is in the description.